So I know this goes without saying, right? And it sounds like it makes sense to many people in many scenarios, but always be willing to walk away. Always be willing to walk away from any situation that really stops fulfilling you, in a positive sense. Whether this be a relationship, a job, friendship, partnership, anything that really has to deal with any kind of agreement or unwritten rule or commitment, always be willing to walk away. And I can tell you that your ability to always be willing to walk away will stop your suffering from many different scenarios and situations that you would just succumb to because you're just thinking that this is the only means of existence. This is the only thing that I can outlast or survive to. And I'm here to tell you that couldn't be further from the truth, right? And I know, like, again, it sounds very simple, but if you're not willing to walk away from anything, then what are you really doing? You know? Like, let's say you're at a really shitty job. And I'm not saying walk away from the job anytime you find anything inconvenient or walk away from any of these things anytime something inconvenient happens. But what I am saying is that you should have a mental aptitude and fortitude that if this goes south and continues to go south, I am actually able to replace this, replace the relationship, replace the job, replace the friendship, replace. It's a simple replacement of things and having that confidence that you can do so. You guys need to understand that if you have attained something, 99.9% of the time, you can attain it again, right? There is such thing as luck for certain attributes and certain things, right? But luck is really just opportunity meets preparation. And so how do you find multiple opportunities? You just keep pressing the damn button over and over. You keep showing up. You keep putting yourself in an environment for things to happen to you, right? So if you're unable to get over this damn girl that has been trickling your mind for God knows how long, and you just can't get over her because you really haven't met any other girls, then I know for a fact you haven't gone outside. You haven't really put yourself in many social situations. I guarantee you, if you were to put yourself in a new social situation with a woman at least once every day, you will find yourself a girlfriend by the end of the year. It's almost guaranteed. There's just no way that and if you can't, then there's something else that's going on and you'll definitely get that feedback. But you know what I mean? If you're in a situation where you don't like your job, your job is terrible or whatever have you be, then you should be able to either put your resume out there, get your resume fixed, have skills, or put yourself a collage or portfolio well enough to flex to other companies that, hey, I'm a valuable candidate. I can do the work and I can actually leave the current position I'm in. Like, I'm not indebted to staying here, right? Because that's always the worst. When you feel like deep down you got to stay in some kind of situation because you know that you really don't know if you can do it again, or you really don't know if there's anything better for you out there, or you'd rather not be alone, or rather not be, rather have it than have not. There's a saying in a Nas song where he says, the only thing worse than being alone is wishing that you were, right? And that's kind of adjacent to relationships mainly, but, it's adjacent to mainly, other different areas of life. So just keep that in mind, man. Always be willing to walk away from a situation or really any kind of commitment or scenario because as a man, truthfully, it's up to you to be that resilient. You have to kind of sharpen your resilience through trial and error, right? That's why we have experiences. That's why, as people grow older, they grow with wisdom. They tend to learn that things aren't permanent, right? When you're young and you're going through that like first heartbreak and things are so fresh and you're like, God, this hurts. I never want to feel this way again. Man, look, nothing ever hurts as bad as the first heartbreak. And I've never been married and divorced, and I know that's probably like the second worst thing. But I can't imagine it's as worse as that first heartbreak, dude. Like that first heartbreak, man, you guys know, man, it puts you at you've never seen yourself at that state. You're like, who the hell am I? Why am I doing these things? Why do I feel this way? It completely voids you of who you think you are personally. So, just always be willing to walk away. And I know I keep saying it over and over. I really want to drill it into you, right? If you're willing to walk away from a situation, you're almost going to stand out, be that guy that's confident, and people will honestly respect you for it more, and more opportunities in your life will open up because of it. You'll be able to expand into new social circles. You'll be able to, transition into careers that you never thought you could be a part of. You're going to be able to, travel to new places that you never thought you'd be able to travel to. Who knows, man? Life is full of surprises, right? As they say. So just always be willing to do that. And, I think that's just a kind of resiliency that it's hard to shape that mindset for people, right? Because if you've never been somebody that's been independent, and I mean really independent, like from a young age, and you've always been like dependent on parents or siblings or people to do stuff for you, you're going to find this really hard because you have such an adequacy to rely on those. And if those can't provide, then you obviously can't do anything for yourself. And so how are you going to be able to walk away from a situation that doesn't really fit your needs, right? Like you're going to be so dependent on that person, right? And that's, as a guy, you can't really be a codependent guy, man. You're going to scare away a lot of girls and a lot of women and a lot of relationships. In a job, if you're very codependent, like you're the yes man to your boss and you're disagreeable with everything that they say you do, they say jump, you say how high, man, you're going to be worked as a dog and underpaid, guaranteed every single time. Right? People, it's a human nature thing for people to take advantage of those that are always willing to give and never willing to negotiate or willing to back off and know really who they are and what the presence and what value that they have and as their presence, right? So some of you may think that, you may not have that value that you think that you have, but, half of the battle of really affirming your value is just acknowledging that you have that value. And I know it sounds counterintuitive, right? And to an extent, I would honestly say that, yeah, okay, I've never had a job. I don't really have any money. I don't really have anything. That's fine. Then all you have is your confidence, right? All you have is your willingness to walk in a situation and say, I don't know, but I can do it. That's the only thing. That's the only currency that you have. And sometimes, man, life will have that opportunity just ready for you, especially if you prepare for it. So, and talking about just, expanding yourself for new opportunities, you got to be mindful of really the way that you talk to yourself, right? If your self-talk and the language and the things that you say on your own really reflect the kind of outcomes you're going to have in your life. I'm pretty sure this has been proven, right? There's all these books and theories about this power of the subconscious mind and your inner monologue and that kind of talk. You cannot sit here and say that if you make a mistake, don't ever do this, by the way. If you ever, make a mistake, silly mistake, let's say like you stub your toe, don't ever say like, God, I'm so stupid. Why did I do that? Or don't ever say that out loud at the very least, right? Or if you are like, maybe like, somebody's like, hey, can I borrow a pencil? And whatever, they're like, yeah, sure, here you go. And you drop it. You don't want to go there and say, God, wow, I'm so stupid. I'm so sorry. Like, don't do that to yourself, man. You're a human being. You make mistakes. Have some like compassion. Make it a funny moment. Recognize that you're a being that is imperfect, right? You strive for perfection with the acknowledgement and understandings that you have imperfections and you always will. That's it, You don't, that's what sometimes separates this extremism mindset of like having to be this super like, oh man, grind 4 a.m., work hard, go to the gym every single day, burn yourself out, live on the beach in Thailand and like that super steroid out, like I don't know what you would call it, but like online vision chasing, online entrepreneur vision chasing thing. I'm not saying that it can't be done. It's just the extremities of these things are like so far out to most people, because you start to convince yourself that's what it's going to take for you to be successful. And that's not really what success is, right? Success is truly defined by, where you started and where you're at now, by most cases. And for people, that's very different. If you're freaking homeless, you don't have anywhere to live and stay, and you don't have a job, you don't have any money, you finding a freaking studio apartment in a bad side of the neighborhood with a steady income, that's successful, man. Like, you got yourself out of the situation, right? To some other people, it's relative, right? Like they may not find that successful depending on their own situation, right? So it's always going to be an evolution, right, for success. That's why whenever most people think of success, they think of millionaires, billionaires, people who have like these wild expanded incomes or means of resources, because like that's, most people, at least in America, have, food to eat. Most of us like are not starving, so, or have somewhere to live, I would imagine, so that's kind of what I'm referring to there. But yeah, don't want to keep dragging the topic, so I'll just end the video here. Like the video if you liked it, don't if you don't, and I'll see you guys next time.